Question 5. During the rainy season, governments are more concerned about the spread of vector-borne diseases. A. Define the term vector. So a vector is any organism, usually an insect, that carries disease-causing pathogens without being affected. So remember, pathogens are the organisms, the microorganisms that actually cause the disease. The vectors are basically the vehicles. So you could kind of think of it as if you need to use a vehicle to get from point A to point B, you don't want to damage the vehicle. So you'll make sure, okay, whatever I'm doing is not affecting or not hurting or not changing that source that is my transport. So that is what a vector is. Simple, 2 marks. The next part, name one mosquito-borne disease that is common in the Caribbean. So I just put one, this being the easiest one to remember, as you probably had it before, or you when talking about examples, this will be the first one that comes to mind. So dengue. 2. Describe how the disease named in B1 is transmitted. So that's also why I only put dengue. This is the easiest one to remember, and I believe from whatever work you may have done with your teacher or your independent study, this would be the one disease that you would kind of get more into with explaining or understanding it. So it's only 2 marks, so you don't need to go all about talking about plasmodium and all of that. But what it is, the female Aedes aegypti mosquito, wow, look at how I spell mosquito. Anyway, you know what I mean by that. So the female Aedes aegypti mosquito bites a person that is infected with the dengue virus. That dengue virus then gets into the mosquito, it replicates, and then when that mosquito now bites another person to feed, this is where the virus is passed from the mosquito to that person, thus infecting them, and they will eventually get dengue. Then 3. So state one sign or symptom of the disease named above. So very simple. Again, they only ask you to state one. So it could be high fever, persons get a rash, muscle or joint pain, fatigue. Those are the most common signs and symptoms. Next, part C. So compare and contrast the life cycle of a mosquito with that of a housefly. So these two, house flies and mosquitoes, these two you would have had to do a bit in depth. So it should be easy. It's 5 marks. We just have to compare them. So the mosquito lays eggs in clean stagnant water. The larvae and pupa are aquatic. And then 3, the female or adult females feed on blood while the males feed on nectar. Whereas with a housefly, 1 lays eggs on decaying, spell that word wrong as well, but it lays its eggs on decaying organic matter. 2, the larvae and pupa are terrestrial. And 3, the adults feed on liquids and decaying matter. Next 2 that you can put for the comparison and contrast is that the both of them go through a complete metamorphosis process. And if you remember what metamorphosis is, this is where the individual or the organism completely changes to the point that it looks nothing like its juvenile phase. An extreme form of that is frogs. So you go from these tadpoles, which you'll probably think is a type of little fish, to a frog. If you didn't know the life cycle of a frog, there is no way that you could tell that a tadpole turns into that frog. And the next one is that both lay eggs as their first stage of their life cycle. After this, we had part D. to recommend 4 ways in which communities and governments can reduce the transmission of diseases by mosquitoes and houseflies. So the 4 that I had: 1, remove breeding sites. So this would require garbage to be disposed properly, as well as getting rid of any sources that will hold any clean stagnant water. So that be tires or barrels or containers in the yard or anything like that that can catch clean water. This is where the mosquitoes would usually use as their breeding site. 2, the use of insecticides. So you can spray your homes, as well as the government can put forward money into making sure that public spaces or communities are sprayed regularly with the insecticides. 3, promote personal protection. So communities could have conversations, or the government could put out ads or have televised sessions teaching about the importance of having window screens, mosquito nets, using repellents, etc., to protect yourself at your homes. And 4, public health education. So the communities could be educated on how to ensure that they have proper hygiene, or practice proper hygiene, practice sanitation, as well as proper waste disposal.